What's up, friends? It's another podcast of Will's Take on Sports. I am the host, Will Walker, and I am the self-proclaimed greatest sports guru ever. That's what I call myself. Hey, don't hate. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to like it. That's just what I go by. But anyway, this is a college football playoff preview, or anyway, as I like to call it, is 2 bowl games and then a +1 game to determine the mythical college football national champion. I'm going to give my I guess I'm going to preview it a little bit, give a little analysis about it, tell you what I think, who will win. I don't think it's going to be a shock, to you if you've been listening to this show before the season started and during this season. You pretty much got a good hint who I think will win today. But anyway, also going to give my thoughts about Mr. LeBron James and his thoughts on NFL owners. Gotta remind Mr. James of something, or at least tell you guys what I think Mr. James needs to remember. Also going to talk about some other things in sports, college football, and it is the last Sunday of the NFL season. Hey, it is what it is. We're going to see who gets in, the final NFL tournament pieces will be determined this weekend. So, on the other side of this sound, or this music, I will get into my podcast. Here we go. All right, yes, indeed. College football playoff. This is such a big thing to these people. I wish it was 8 teams, but it's 4. It is what it is. We got the Crimson Tide going up against Oklahoma and Kyler Murray down in Miami. And then we got Notre Dame and Clemson going at it in Dallas at Jerry's World, and it's called the Cotton Bowl. All right, quickly, let me get into this. Let me just go ahead and get this out the way. Alabama with Tua and that receiving core should just run ramshot all over Oklahoma. Oklahoma has no defense. They've proven that they struggled all year long. That's how dynamic their offense is. Kyler Murray and those receivers, CeeDee Lamb, the brown kid out of Hollywood, Florida. This team is super talented. They got nice backs. They got a solid offensive line. They're going to score points. I don't think they'll score enough points to beat Alabama, but they're going to score points. But Oklahoma's Oklahoma's offense has just been outstanding all season. That's why Kyler Murray was able to get his school a back-to-back Heisman Trophy winner last year. It was Baker Mayfield. This year it was Kyler Murray. So that offense is dynamic. Lincoln Riley is probably going to be tabbed he is tabbed right now as a great offensive line, may even move on to the NFL after this season. We will see. Interesting to see what the Browns do there. Anyway, looking at Alabama, even with the suspensions they got going on, look, they're the most talented football team in the country. They get the best recruits, as we saw over the last this early signing period. They got the best recruits again. They got them on their roster already. They're deeply talented on offense. They can actually score with Oklahoma. They don't have to slow the ball down to keep Oklahoma's offense off the field. They can actually score with this team. They got Jerry Jeudy, and that receiving core. I don't know all these guys' names. Are Ruggs. That's another guy they got on there. They are super talented on offense, and with Tua pulling the trigger, he should be back and should be healthy for today's ball game. Down in Miami, I don't see any way Alabama doesn't cover the spread. I think it's at least 12 points. I think they win this game by 3 touchdowns. I don't think it's going to actually be close. Like I said, I expect Oklahoma to score. I just don't think Oklahoma's going to score enough points to beat Alabama. Now, crazy things can happen. It is sports, and it is we are dealing with young athletes, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. You never know what'll happen. I didn't think Georgia would, be in the game with Alabama in the SEC title, but they were. And Georgia had the lead going late and had a golden opportunity when Tua went out. But Jalen Hurts came in off the bench and did what he got his redemption. And Alabama, went on ahead and captured the SEC title, and now they're the number one. They're the number one team and they're the number one seed in this mythical college football playoff. So I expect Bama to roll. I don't see, like I said, I don't really see Oklahoma being able to stop them, and I just don't think they'll score more than Alabama. All right, moving on to Clemson, Notre Dame down in Jerry's World. Listen, the suspension of that defensive tackle to Clemson may be an issue, or defensive lineman rather. It may be an issue. It may not be an issue. I think Clemson is still a very talented team on defense. They are a little suspect in the secondary. Let's see if Notre Dame and Ian Book and Brian Kelly can expose that a little bit. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Notre Dame is not the Notre Dame team from last year, where they struggled against teams with speedy defenses. They struggled against Georgia. They struggled against Miami, and they struggled in their exhibition bowl game last season against LSU. But they look a little bit better. They look a little bit more sturdy on offense. Some people are comparing them to the team that went down to Miami, ranked number 1. I think some years ago when they played Alabama in the Orange Bowl and got absolutely manhandled. But anyway, they're comparing that to this team. I think this team is a little bit faster. I think they learned a lot over the course of the season. Again, it's Notre Dame. And I call them not give a damn, but I'm gonna be nice on this podcast and give them respect that they're due. They are one of the 4 best teams in the country. So, but anyway, I don't know if Notre Dame can really keep pace with that talented Clemson team. And everything today, just like Bama, Clemson can only lose this game if Clemson doesn't play up to their standard, or if they really shoot themselves in the foot. And if Trevor Lawrence, their true talented true freshman, struggles, he has not struggled all year, except for I guess the game he got knocked out against Syracuse. And you can't call that a struggle. The kid got knocked out of the game. But anyway, they have Clemson and Alabama are the 2 best teams. If Clemson shoots themselves in the foot, or if the distraction of the suspended players, hinders this team, or just not allow them to have their true total focus going into this game against Notre Dame, that's the only way I can see Clemson blowing this. But I just think Clemson is a much better team than Notre Dame. I don't know if they're going to cover the spread. I think they're a double-digit favorite. Also, I think this one will be just a little bit more tighter than what I predicted for Alabama and Oklahoma. I think Clemson squeaks this out by at least a touchdown. It may be 10 points, but I say at least a touchdown over not give a damn. Notre Dame. I said I was going to be nice. So we will. That's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Clemson and Alabama advancing on to go play in the +1 game for the national title out there on the left coast in San Francisco at the new Levi Stadium. I think that's what it's called in San Francisco. So that's my prediction. I predicted this early in the season. I think a lot of people did. We all said the same. A lot of people who follow college football and have things to comment about college football. We all said the same thing. Clemson and Alabama are clearly the 2 best teams in the country. But I will not be shocked if Notre Dame pulls an upset, and I will be totally stunned if Oklahoma does. I just do not like Oklahoma's defense. I think this is the worst defense going into since they started this 4 and +1 format. This is the worst defense going in. I don't think that's even up for debate. They are really horrible. In regards to what they do on the defensive side of the ball. I saw something in the preview. They're opportunistic. I was like, look, I don't care how opportunistic they are. When your offense has a score of 40 points and you give up 38, I mean, come on, for real. They're the college football version of Kansas City. The Kansas City in the NFL, Kansas City's defense is just atrocious. I mean, your offense is scoring points and you still lose. Offense scores 31 and you still lose. Anyway, but that's Kansas City. But they're right now currently holding the number 1 spot in the AFC in the NFL. Okay, I'm gonna get into in the NFL before I get off the show. But you know what I like to do? I like to do this thing called Simply the Best. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I got some Simply the Best performances that I want to give out. So here we go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and give it to that Wisconsin running back, Jonathan Taylor. He just ran ramshot all over my Miami Hurricanes. And the reason I'm giving him this Simply the Best performances so I can tie this into what I think of what the current state of the Miami Hurricanes program is. But anyway, kudos to that kid. He ran all over the Hurricanes. He even had 100 yards in the first half. I mean, God bless Miami's defense. They tried everything they could, but Miami's offense is atrocious. The play calling is bad. The quarterback play is horrible. The route running, the blocking, everything on Miami's offense is horrible. Miami had a conference championship contending defense. I'm not saying they would have beat Clemson, but in playing in the ACC, Miami should have been playing for the second straight year in Charlotte, battling for the ACC title. their offense is got to be the worst offense in Miami Hurricanes football history. I got a little bit too excited, or I guess you could say emotional, in regards to saying that, hey, this was the Mark Richt is the worst play caller in Miami sports history. That includes high school, college, and pro. But okay, I'm gonna tone that down a little bit and say I'm just gonna stick with the Miami Hurricanes football program. That is this was the worst season I can remember in a long time rooting for the Miami Hurricanes. This was just awful to watch this year. It started with the LSU game. I think you could even go back to preseason and say that, hey, when Malik Rozier came back as a starter, and we know the limitations that he had, that should have, put everybody on, I guess you can say, on high alert to say, you know what, how can this season improve when we saw the samples of the last 3 games? He is a very nice kid. He's an inaccurate thrower. He would be a good game manager if the offensive line was more solid, if the receivers were more dependable. He would be a game manager for a contending or a championship quality team. But he is not a difference maker. Great kid, but he is not a difference maker. And when it comes down to it, you got to have a difference maker at quarterback if the talent around him isn't superior. West Virginia, I'm going to use them for example. Will Grier. Granted, West Virginia is a team that had a very good season, but Will Grier, the 5th-year senior, was a difference maker for that ball club. You saw the difference without him and with the guy they put in, the former Miami Hurricane quarterback, Jack Allison. You see the difference between Will Grier and Jack Allison. That offense looked average for West Virginia in their exhibition bowl game down in Orlando versus Syracuse. But back to the Miami Hurricanes. Malik Rozier is a 5th-year senior. Then you have N'Kosi Perry, who's a redshirt freshman. You have Cade Weldon, who's a redshirt freshman. You have Jaron Williams, who's a true freshman. Obviously, Mark Richt did not want to put the true freshman in there and get his brains beat out or have the kids suffer through probably, very tough struggles as a redshirt freshman dealing with a struggling offensive line and I guess you can say not dependable receivers after Amon Richards went down, and then they had the up and down, I guess you could say, episodes with Jeff Thomas. And then when Jeff Thomas just decided to exit the program and transfer, that really exposed everything you need to know about the Miami Hurricanes wide receivers. There's so much turmoil in Miami. It's going to be forget recruiting. They have to recruit the guys they got on that team to keep them on there because some of these kids just won't out. And you cannot blame these kids on the offensive side of the ball because that offense is prehistoric. Mark Richt needs to give up play calling. He needs to just be the CEO of this thing. He needs to get back to concentrating on how to acquire quality talent to the roster. He has to give up play calling. I don't know if Thomas Brown is the answer. I don't know if he needs to find go out and get a young, innovative mind to run some of these more modern offenses. But his offense is not good. He keeps saying, well, if we do things right, it'll look more crisp. Wrong. Your offense is prehistoric. Zone right, zone left, RPO, your RPO just doesn't work. It looked this offense, it's amazing what 2 years difference make. When Brad Kaya, who can't really run an RPO because he's no threat to run, it looked better with him. And that's, again, we're talking about a better caliber quarterback, Brad Kaya, than Malik Rozier. But at the same time, I just wish that he would either overhaul his staff, bring in like I said, a young offensive coordinator, let him call the plays, or innovative coordinator, whatever. But he really needs to give up play calling. And I don't blame kids that are in South Florida that are going to other elite programs and not staying home to play for the Miami Hurricanes because that offense is just not good. It's not a good offense, and it's not appealing to any top quality kid that I guess the recruiting services say is a top quality kid. So I'm not shocked. Miami's had one of their is one of the lower level recruiting rankings or whatever, however that goes. They didn't get many 4 or 5 stars, or I don't think they got any 5 stars. But anyway, and not that I care about stars, but I'm saying just the fact that they weren't able to get any quality kids, maybe one here, maybe another one there, but still, this is a University of Miami. Great tradition. This is a school that was really self-built. These were kids that stayed home and built this program. So I know it's disappointing to those kids who, in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s who did stay home and sacrifice and do things. And now to see that the program can't even fence or block out top other programs from around the country. It was just Alabama and LSU coming in there and just taking kids out of the top elite players out of South Florida. Now Georgia's going in there. Oklahoma went in there. Like I said, they got a wide receiver from Hollywood on that ball club who's the Brown kid they call him Hollywood Brown because he's from Hollywood, Florida. But that kid's super fast. How good would he look in a Miami Hurricanes uniform with that speed? How good would Jerry Jeudy, another South Florida product that's playing for Alabama, how good would he look in a Miami Hurricanes uniform? But you cannot blame these kids for leaving South Florida to go play at other elite top-level programs, be it for whatever reason, that almighty dollar, or for hey, those programs and their offenses look a heck of a lot more appealing than what Miami is offering right now. It is what it is. So, and that's my take on the Miami Hurricanes. Like I said, I tied to simply the best performance that I do into that because I just wanted to really rant about the poor quality of the Miami Hurricanes program. All right, let me move on to Mr. LeBron James and the NFL owners and a slave mentality. Okay, let's date back to when LeBron James was making his first free agent decision, and he decided to go to Miami from Cleveland. His then owner, Dan Gilbert, decided to pen a letter to his supporters and season ticket holders and the fans of Cleveland how ungrateful LeBron was. How could he dare leave this city? I mean, he basically said, for all I've done for you, why would you leave and why would you not and give me the, and not have the respect or whatever. I'm not even quoting it verbatim, but basically he said LeBron James was ungrateful. Basically, a lot of black people who saw that was like, dang, he basically had like he owned LeBron. Forget scoring lover, as they try to portray it on the 4-letter network and all these other sports shows and things of that nature. We was like, dang, he had like he owned LeBron, like he was a piece of property. Okay, 4 years in Miami as LeBron, former number 6, called it. All college years, he decides to go back to Cleveland. First of all, he was going home because he saw Kyrie Irving there. Kyrie was starting to emerge as a superstar. All that about going home bullcrap was garbage. Kyrie Irving's not there. He ain't going home. I'm going to stick to that. I said that in 2014 when I started doing my podcast and he made his decision during my first year doing the podcast. I said, man, he went home because Kyrie Irving was there. He saw that kid was emerging, so that's why he went home. Forget all that garbage. Hey, look, I want to go home and all. Man, look, if Kyrie Irving won there, he wouldn't have went nowhere. He would have probably left Miami still because Dwayne Wade was declining, but he wouldn't have went back to Cleveland. He'd have went somewhere else where he thought he had an opportunity to win. All right, anyway, so he goes back home, and now remember I just said Dan Gilbert, to me, I'm not going to speak for all black people, but for the black people that I talked to, it was like, hey, and give her that like you were ungrateful and you were own property. But you go back home and you play for him. Now, this slave mentality stuff that he's trying to label on NFL or NFL owners, look, first of all, there are very few minority owners in sports, in the three major sports programs in the United States of America. There are very few minority owners. Michael Jordan comes to mind in NBA. I think the owner in Jacksonville for the Jacksonville Jaguars in the NFL, I think he's a minority. I'm not really sure. But anyway, but I think it is. I just don't know his name right now. But anyway, that's just to name a few. Most of the owners in the major sports, Major League Baseball, the National Basketball Association, and the National Football League are white. And first of all, comparing anything where you are paid for your services to slavery is a disservice because slaves were not paid for their service. Their pay was to be able to, I guess you can say, basically be allowed to live. Because if they were not able to perform their job, they were whooped, They were beaten. They were maimed. They were starved. I mean, they were treated so inhuman. It's really, it boils my skin just even thinking about it. And to hear a top level black athlete compare getting paid for services, and getting paid well to slavery is a disservice really to your history. You can't compare that. No. Even though he said slave mentality, no. It's not slave mentality. Football players, whether they have guaranteed contracts or not met, whether they don't have quite the leverage as NBA players, because that's one of the arguments I heard. Well, LeBron he feels a little bit, I guess you could say, because the NBA are entitled because the NBA players have guaranteed contracts and, they have a little bit more power than the NFL. Bullshit, hogwash. Excuse the language. But real talk, it just incensed me to hear him say that. It is not a slave mentality just in the NFL. It is also in Major League Baseball. Let's throw hockey in there too. And also in the NBA. I don't care how much power the players get to form super teams. They all come together. Yeah, the money's good because of the TV contract. LeBron James has to remember something. I don't know if he forgot because he's made so much money over the time he's been in the NBA since he was an 18-year-old kid entering into the league. LeBron James' wealth came from his talent as a basketball player. LeBron James, and he didn't make his money through education. He didn't make his money. He wasn't I guess you could say nobody left him no money, nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? It was basically because of his basketball skills to why he is why he was able to become rich and own the businesses and empower other blacks and build a nice charter school in his hometown. Get a man props for what he's done off the court in his community. And really, he has been a model citizen for a professional athlete when we got so many other things going on with professional athletes that sometimes make you question their logic. He's had very few scandals, and the only thing they've ever really criticized this guy about, besides what he just meant, what he said about the slave mentality thing, was the decision he made as he had, raised some money for the Boys and Girls Club, and he made the decision there and got more money for them, and then he did it on TV. And that to me just had nothing to do with it. I tell you, the things people get upset about, or the things that ruffles people's feathers, it just makes me go, get a life. But anyway, this right here, this really should have ruffled a lot of black people. That especially those that are educated, especially that those know the history about it, which should be all of us. That slave mentality comment, it's just not right. But again, like I said, LeBron James may be feeling just a tad bit full of himself and entitled, but he has to remember he made his money playing a sport and playing for a white owner, and then he went back to an owner who basically, in my opinion, and some other people that I know, basically act like he was a piece of owned property. He went back and played for that guy. So, hey, you really got to be careful with, you can't be throwing rocks from glass houses, LeBron James. That's just my opinion in regards to that. All right, let me go ahead and get on to the NFL. This is the last Sunday. We got big games. We got a Sunday night matchup between the Colts and the Titans. We're going to see what happens with Mariota. I think Andrew Luck has really made a great a return back to a full season, playing full season in the NFL. He looks healthy. He looks like he's ready to go. The return, and return back to one of the top players. I'm one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. There are some other matchups that I can't even really think about because most of everything has been said. I think you got everything said on that side with the Saints. The Eagles. I think the Seahawks are battling this weekend also. Yeah, they're battling this weekend to get in. You got the Minnesota Vikings they're battling. You got the Bears and everything like that. So the NFC is almost pretty much set. But this is that weekend where we're coming down to the AFC South is going to come down between the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans. You got the Kansas City Ball Club. They've had their struggles. They lost 2 games in a row, but it can't be blamed on their offense. Their defense is just horrible. But their offense, and with probably the NFL MVP, Pat Mahomes at quarterback, that dude is just really balling. He looks super. everybody has to be stunned with what he's doing this season. I mean, really, honestly, I mean, nobody could have predicted this. I don't even think Andy Reid could have predicted that kid coming out the gate like that. But, hey, he's got Tyreek Hill. He's got Kelsey at tight end. He had Hunt at running back, and now they got other guys plugged in. But, see, that offense is still so super talented that, even without their running back, they're still putting up without Hunt, they're still putting up numbers. But Kansas City, yeah, offensively, they are a Super Bowl team. Defensively, they're not. They really shouldn't even be in the playoffs. They should just be an exciting watch and just be really a 500 team. But anyway, we still got the New England Patriots. They're still doing their thing. They won the AFC East. That is no surprise there. The Dolphins, the Bills, and the Jets they all suck. They all stink. And the 10-year accomplishment, yeah, that's great and everything, but those teams stink. Those teams have spot moments to where they're good. The Dolphins had a spot moment under Adam Gates to where they won 10 games and got into the playoffs. Still, New England still dominated this thing for 10 years. None of that, like I said, the Jets, Dolphins, and the Bills, they all stink. The Dolphins and the Bills close out the season this week in Buffalo. Who cares? The Dolphins are not relevant. They still got wide receiver 17 at quarterback. For those of you who are Miami Dolphins fans who listen to this podcast, or people from Miami who say you don't give him any respect by not mentioning his name, good. I'm glad you said that way, because I don't give him any respect as a quarterback. I don't know Ryan Tannehill personally. See, I just mentioned his name. I don't know the man personally, but as far as being for what I do on this podcast and mentioning sports, I'm going to keep it on the field and say wide receiver 17. That's what I mean by that. I don't mean anything disparaging about the man, because I don't, outside of the football, outside of the lines or the football field, I'm just talking about the field. So I call him wide receiver 17. Anyway, that's not here nor there. I ran about the Dolphins all year long. It is what it is. I'm surprised they won the amount of games they did. Like I said, I only thought they would win 4 or 5 games before the season started, but they surprised me and they got a couple of more wins. Good for them. But as far as being a championship contender or Super Bowl contender, which is the teams that I root for, I would like to see them contend for championships. The Miami Dolphins, the Miami Hurricanes, the Miami Heat, the Miami Marlins, none of them are going to do it right now, because they just don't have championship quality rosters. Point blank. Period. I'm just trying to tell you. That's just the way I feel. Anyway, going back to the NFL, looking at the Los Angeles Chargers and what they're able to do. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got the Baltimore Ravens. You got all these teams. They got an opportunity to get there. The Steelers shot themselves. Well, they blew a lead after they beat the Patriots. They went on the road, had a chance and an opportunity to beat the Saints. They didn't do it. Juju Smith-Schuster fumbled, but everybody's questioning. I guess Mike Tomlin having a Kirby Smart moment and having a brain freeze and deciding to go for fake a punt at midfield, set the Saints up real decent. They went down, scored, got the winning score. Again, Big Ben was trying to drive his team down there, but Smith-Schuster fumbled the ball, trying to get extra yardage. I mean, the kid was trying to make an effort play, but he fumbled the ball. But anyway, so that's what it is. So we're going to see this weekend who gets in. Will it be the Ravens? Will it be the Steelers? And again, on the other side, will it be the Eagles, or will it be the Seahawks, or will it be the Vikings? We will see as the NFL will close out this weekend. That's my time. That's the band. You know when that comes on, it's time for me to get out of here. But anyway, I want to thank everybody that supported Will's Take on Sports in 2018. I really appreciate it. I know I haven't been as consistent. Again, like I said, like I've always, done all over the years doing this podcast, where I usually try to make at least a podcast every 2 weeks, or if not every week. But right now, like I said, the work schedule, my real job has just really been hectic on me, been taking a lot of time, taking a lot of my time. So I really haven't had the opportunity to sit down and just, do this podcast. Something I love to do, something I do for fun. This is just something I do for fun. So I want to thank everybody that supported Will's Take on Sports. Again, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at WWS_sports show. And also Facebook. Go to Facebook and type in the search Will's Take on Sports, and you will find my Facebook page. Please like my Facebook page and let me know. Again, this is our home, www.spreaker.com/user/WTOS. Thank you everybody so much for your support, and have a safe and happy new year, happy holidays, all of that good stuff. Be safe. That's good. That's all. Look forward to 2019, God's willing. Remember, say a prayer for somebody, because prayer does what? Changes things. I'll holler.